welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. I'm Vicky Quinn and this is my husband Joe Fraser.
Hello.
Hello. That was why we started it. Yeah. And in case you're wondering, wait, what? Who's Vicky Quinn? That's me. And I know we haven't got divorced. Look, we're very happy, right?
Very happy.
The reason I have changed my name back to my original name is, and I refuse to call it a maiden name because fuck the patriarchy, is because, fuck the patriarchy basically, is why. No, I was always cross with myself for changing my name when I got married because I just kind of did it without really thinking about it, and after the first time I was married I was like, I'm never going to change my name again, and then I did, and so I was like, why did I do that? So I've reclaimed my name.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're now going through this big old process of changing things.
Oh, it's such a ball ache. I'm doing it gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than all in one go, all in one big stressy go, I'm doing it gradually. So.
Okay. So for now, emails and websites and things are all staying where they are.
Well, my website is moxiebooks.co.uk.
Good point.
So yes, but yeah, I'm gradually changing that. I keep getting emails from people going, oh, what's going on? What's happened to Joe? And I'm like, nothing. Joe's awesome. So, by the way, I love the way you sounded surprised then. It's like, I didn't just inform Joe on the podcast. That wasn't the first time he found out. He's known for a while.
I've known for a while, yes.
He's known for a while. Anyway, it's Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Wasn't it an amazing party night?
Well, I mean, we had about as much of a party as we usually do.
It's true.
We were playing Dungeons and Dragons.
For hours.
Yeah, we did not even notice when it turned midnight, really. Because we were too busy trying not to die. It was a total party knockout.
Apart from my character.
Apart from Joe's character.
Who saved everybody.
Well, did you though?
Yeah.
No, because then Cassandra came back and saved everybody.
I saved everybody.
Well, whatever. Anyway, we're drinking hot chocolate today because it's really cold.
It is super cold.
And misery.
The dingle, I think it's actually colder in the house than it is outside at the moment.
Definitely colder in the kitchen. I had to use vegetable oil yesterday because the olive oil was so frozen when I turned it upside down it didn't move. That's how cold our kitchen is.
It's great.
Anyway,
really like it.
So when we were standing in the kitchen earlier, filling up my kettles for the office, going, and then watching our breath as if we were outside.
Of smoke.
Yeah. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about how it doesn't matter where you start. But before that, in traditional style, Joe, what are you reading?
I have just last night finished reading The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss.
Which is what I was reading before that.
Which is what Vicky was reading before that. And so now I am about to start the last book in the Wheel of Time series.
Oh my god.
Book 14, 900 pages.
Book 4,723, 50,000 pages, never to be finished.
So it is on my Kindle.
Amazing. And I am reading, fiction-wise, I am reading The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss, which is the sequel to The Name of the Wind, and I'm loving it. He is a master world builder and storyteller. You really enjoyed The Name of the Wind, right?
Really liked it. Yeah, really good.
Really, really good. And so I finished it, and I hadn't ordered the next one in time from the local bookshop, and so I spent a few days going, Rah! I really want to read it. And now I'm in a bit of a flap because I'm a third of the way through The Wise Man's Fear, and I know that there isn't a third book yet, and so I'm going to finish it and I'm going to be like, the non-fiction book I'm reading, I'm still reading Out on the Wire by Jessica Abel, because I didn't read it in December, so I'm reading it in January. And I haven't really started it yet, so I can't comment, but I will do next week, so I've started it.
Cool.
So yeah, and I really haven't got much to report over the Christmas period, other than we turned into chocolate-covered roast potatoes.
Yeah, we did very little. We burnt a lot of wood. We huddled by the fire. We huddled under blankets.
Because Joe got me for Christmas, he got me a slanket, which is basically the best thing anyone's ever bought me.
Massive blanket with sleeves.
Oh my gosh. And so I have spent, since Boxing Day, because we didn't open our presents until Boxing Day, I have spent basically from Boxing Day until this morning under my slanket with a cat on my knee and a book in front of my face.
Which is really rare for you, isn't it?
Yeah, like I spent because I had a list of things I was like, oh, I'm going to get these done between Christmas and New Year. And then I set my out of office on everything, like on all my writing streaks and everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do nothing. Well, I didn't do nothing. I read a lot of books. I read 3 books over the Christmas period.
That's a lot of chocolate.
A lot of chocolate. And I'm fine with it. And we went for a big walk in the snow up on the Catsback Ridge, which was lovely. And we talked to some friends. We played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons with our friends on Zoom. And I've done a little bit of training at the studio. And I've really just done the things that I want to do.
It's been cool.
And it's been amazing, and I have Joe to thank for that, because he has looked after me for this past 10 days so that I could do those things.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome. Thank you.
Oh, no worries. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I also turned off, or I paid very little attention to social media, because I found that it was really stressing me out, seeing people going, oh, you know, we've still got a few days left before the end of 2020 and we're doing this and we're doing that and I'm hustling and I'm doing stuff, and it's like, good for them, great, whatever. But I refused to let my brain look at that and then make me feel like shit because I wasn't doing anything, because I really needed a break.
Yeah.
And if you have done the same thing and you're feeling, oh, I should have done this, that and the other, no. 2020 was an absolute shit show of a year. It was really hard. Like, from mid-March to now, and it's not over yet, it was so hard. Like, even those of us who have had it relatively easy,
which we have.
Which we have.
Fair, you know, we've been okay.
Yeah, but I don't
It's
think
hard.
I really had, apart from a week's holiday, I don't think I really had a proper day off, a full day off last year, and I'm just weary, and I think a lot of people are. So if you didn't have a week off between Christmas and New Year, maybe have a week off in January, and a proper week off, and because I feel really good now. I woke up this morning at 5:15, bounced out of bed,
Got stuff done.
got stuff done, and I feel really good. And I haven't felt this good in a long time, so this is really cool. Anyway, we are now 7 minutes in, so we better talk about what we're going to talk about. The big New Year's resolution nonsense. No, we're not talking about that. We are talking about how it doesn't matter where you start.
Right.
With regards to your book, because I quite often will have conversations with people when they find out what I do, and they'll be like, oh, I started writing a book. So 50% of them, it'll be like, oh, I really want to write a book, and I'll be like, oh, write a book then, and they'll be like, no, I can't, for various reasons that we've talked about on the podcast in the past. And then other people will say, oh, I started writing a book once, and I'll be like, oh, great, where is it? Oh no, I got like the first chapter done, or I got the introduction done, and then it just went in a box. And it's really interesting, and so I will say to them, oh, what's the problem? And they sometimes they can articulate the problem. It's like, oh, I'm just stuck on the first chapter, and I can't get any further than that, or I'm stuck on the introduction. And sometimes they can't articulate it. It's just like, oh, I don't know, I just can't, I'm stuck.
I just didn't carry on.
Yeah, and I think it's because there's this myth that we have to start at the beginning. We have to start with the introduction and then write chapter 1 and then write chapter 2. And no, we don't. A, we don't have to, and B, I think it's actually not a very good idea to do so. And I will explain why. Because it feels like the logical thing to do, right? You start at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll do your outline. You'll get your outline done and you'll be like, oh, this is great, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm going to say. And then the logical thing is start with the introduction and then chapter 1. And I think that's where things go wrong, because people see the outline as this set in stone 10 Commandments thing that can't be changed. They don't see it as a living, breathing, growing document, which is what it is. The outline is just the thing to get you started. It's like, oh, I think this is where I'm going, I think this is what I want to write about, and I think this is where I want to get to. That's not necessarily what it's going to look like. I mean, quite often when people come to do the first edit of their book, I'll get them to redo the outline because it's a different thing. So, starting at the beginning with the introduction, I think, is a really good way to get yourself stuck. Because if you don't know where your book's going, if you haven't written your book yet, you can't possibly write the introduction that says where the book's going to go.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think what happens is that quite a lot of people will write their introduction and their first chapter, and then they'll edit it, and then they'll rewrite it, and then they'll edit it, and then they'll rewrite it, and that's what will happen. They'll go in this loop and they'll be stuck forever. And their books will go nowhere, which does make perfect sense, because if you don't know what's coming in the rest of the book, how can you write your introduction?
Sure.
Cool.
I agree. It makes sense. The introduction is almost like a summary, or it's at least based upon the book itself. And if the book doesn't exist, introduction is tough. Yeah.
I always write the introduction at the end, once I've written the rest of the book. I might kind of start it at the beginning. I might be like, oh, this is where I think it's going, blah, blah, blah. because I have done this so many times that I know that I can do that without letting it get me stuck. But for my clients and coaching clients and people like that, I often say to them, if you need to get something down, then say, oh, welcome to my book, this is my book, blah. Like literally those words. That can be the introduction. And then come back to it at the end. Write it last, because it's going to be much easier to do. How can you tell people what's going to follow in the following chapters when you haven't written them yet?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that happens, if you do that as well, is you end up getting really stressed. It's like, oh, I'm writing this book, but I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what I'm writing, even when you've got your outline.
And it's going to change, isn't it? Because your beta readers are going to say, well, put this bit there and move that to here and shuffle it all around and do it in a different order. And, you're going to edit it and you're going to change things. It's going to be, you're kind of writing, if you write the introduction first, you're writing a document that isn't correct.
Yes.
And that's, that you lose motivation, you lose drive, it kind of feels pointless, it feels like it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't work, it's not going to work.
Yeah, because it's going to change.
It's dispiriting to do.
Yeah, because even your first outline, I always get people to do some kind of an outline, even if they are writing by the seats of their pants type people. I always get them to have at least an idea of where they're going and where they want to stop on the way. But that's not something that I don't expect people to know as they're writing that outline exactly what's going to be everywhere. I want them to have an idea, and I want them to not have a blank page. The idea of the outline for me is to get rid of the blank page of doom. But as you are writing, and this everybody that I have ever worked with and every book I have ever written has ended up somewhere different than when it started.
Mm-hmm.
It's ended up being written for someone slightly different than I thought it was going to be written for. It's ended up being written for a slightly different reason, to tell, to give a slightly different message than what I thought. Because as you start writing, you'll realise that actually this is more important to me now. This topic is more important to me, and it follows on better from my big idea than this one, which is what I thought would be the thing. So let's not start at the introduction. Let's not do that, because I think that that's a really good way to get stuck. And you don't even have to start at chapter 1. Because quite often my chapter 1 it does not end up being my chapter 1, it ends up being chapter 3. And that's exactly what happened in How the Hell Do You Write a Book? My chapter 1 ended up, I think, being chapter 10. And I switched the order around so substantially that my introduction and my chapter 1 were they just didn't bear any resemblance to the end result. And that's cool. So my advice is start where you like.
So where would you start? Something that you feel most strongly about, or the bit that you feel is most fleshed out already in your head, or where would you naturally just go, oh, I'm gonna jump in there?
So where would I start? Me personally.
You personally. So
me personally, I start with, after I've done a rough outline, and then filled in the bits of that I think is going to happen, I will then start with the chapter that I feel most excited about. The thing that I want. It's like, okay, if I'm going to sit down and write, what do my fingers start doing? What do my fingers start typing? And it might be, I might sit down and think, right, I'm going to start working on chapter 3, but actually when I sit down, I find that I'm writing about something that was going to be in my outline in chapter 5. And so that's what I will do.
Yeah, you'll just go that way.
I will just start writing the thing that I most want to write about. And that is the advice that I give to my clients as well, is start with the thing that makes you most excited, the most important message, or maybe the bit that you think is easiest to write, or easiest to explain, or the bit that you think that your readers will find easiest to understand. Because I don't want people to, there's an argument to be made for eating the frog first, but I think if you start with the hardest thing, when a book is a hard thing anyway, I don't think you're ever going to get started.
Yeah, the resistance to momentum is too big.
Yeah, you've got it. It's like a snowball, right? You start with a few words, and then they build into a bigger snowball until finally you've got this magnificent avalanche rolling down the hill. That sounds terrifying, but like a controlled avalanche.
Only if you live at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, a controlled avalanche that you're surfing down, with no people at the bottom of the hill because you don't want to kill anybody. Have I taken it too far again?
Yeah, that's not working.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying. Start with the stuff you enjoy. Start with the stuff that you can do.
Yeah.
But gain a bit of momentum, I like.
Yeah, and then maybe once you've got that first chapter written, and it's like, I've done the thing that I wanted to do, maybe then pick one that you're not looking forward to. Because then you're like, okay, well, I've just done a thing, I know I can do this. And it's like, this next chapter is going to be, I know it's going to be tough, and it might be a little bit shit, but I'm going to do it, and then I can come back to it later.
Yeah, we can put it to one side and come back in a month.
Come back in a crumble.
Come back in a couple of months.
Oh. Kind of fancy a crumble.
Mm.
So yeah, it does not matter where you start. So the chapter that you start with may be your first chapter. It might end up being your first chapter. It might be your last chapter. It might be somewhere in the middle. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you are building a good foundation that you can then build the rest of your book around.
Yeah.
And you just get started. So yeah, I often sketch out what I think the introduction might be at the start. Because I'll be like, well, I want to talk about this. This is who it's for. This is where I'm going to take people. But I don't let it stop me, and I actually write the thing properly. I write it last for all of the reasons that we've just talked about.
Okay.
Because when you look at an introduction, you need to talk about, what the reader's gonna get out of the book, who it's for, why you wrote it, where you're taking people, the big promise you're making to people in the book. Basically, that's all of the things. You're setting the scene for the rest of the book, and you can't always do that. I 100% guarantee that all of those things will change as I write my book.
Mm-hmm.
And they will change for you as well as you write your book. It's part of the writing process. It's a good process. So often end up deleting chapters,
Yeah.
particularly the first chapter. It's kind of an extension of the first couple of paragraphs you write in a day will be a bit shit, so you just delete them. You can kind of apply that to a book as well. It's like the first chapter I've written before. It's like, oh, that's rubbish. I'm just going to get rid of the whole thing. And that's fine. You can do that. You can do that. So stop worrying about where to start your book. And just start anywhere you like. You do not have to start at the beginning.
Start at a fun bit, start at an exciting bit, start at a bit that you can explain well.
Yeah.
Go.
Exactly. It's not something that you need to worry about. And there are no rules, really. Except I would say the rule is don't start with the introduction for all of the reasons that we've just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you can start writing. Where you start writing is unlikely to be where your book actually starts. So just start. Is the key. Any questions?
No, very clear.
Cool. Seems unlikely. Cool. Short podcast this week then.
Yeah.
But I think that's good. It's a short idea, simple idea. And
Start with the fun stuff.
Start with the fun stuff. And especially if one of your thoughts this year was, I would like this year to be the year that I write my book. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's not allow silly little things like where do we start to stop us. Right, I have an author shout out.
Okay.
Could you pick up that book there, please, so that we can wave it? This is my client Barry's brand new book. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Barry.
He has just written and released just before Christmas his new book, Do the Next Thing Next. Takes your landscaping business to the next level, even if you're working 15 hours every day. Barry is like the Joe Polish of the landscaping industry. He's an amazing businessman. He started off working like 15-hour days.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen his family, 90 grand in debt, which sounds horrifying, unable to pay a couple of mortgages, and he's now got multi-million-pound businesses.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's written a really good book, specifically aimed at people in the landscaping, gardening industry, because that is what he does. He mentors people in that industry. And so that is a really, it's a really great idea. On the face of it, this is a book about how to grow and run your business.
Mm-hmm.
There are loads of them out there. None of them were aimed specifically at people in the landscaping business, which is why Barry has written his book.
Cool.
Because there's always a way, because all of those other books that were written that, this has got Barry's unique insights, but the principles of marketing and running a business are universal. All of those other books that are out there are kind of aimed generally, and a lot of the people in Barry's industry, in the landscaping industry, they really struggle with books like that because they don't feel like they're written for them or by somebody like them. They're not like hands dirty, running a grubby kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they're different types of people.
Spending their time renting diggers and moving stone around the place.
Yeah, and so being told by a shiny suited internet marketer how to run their business is what the information that they might be giving is perfectly valid, but they're not going to hear it from that person. And they're hearing it from Barry, and that's really, really important. So if you're thinking of writing a book and you're thinking, it's already been said by somebody somewhere, maybe it has, but it hasn't been said by you for the people that you're writing for.
Yeah, nice.
So write your damn book. But it's really exciting. And if you want to see what Barry's done, you can get his book from Amazon. It's available on Amazon. Very proud of him. It's really, really exciting. And we're already working on his second book, so that's quite cool. Third book actually, because he's already written a book before
Nice.
we met. So Right, next week we're going to be talking about how to start a story, how to start writing a narrative non-fiction story.
Narrative non-fiction story. Okay.
Yeah, how to get started, because I think people are quite often like, I don't know how to start writing my story. So we're going to talk a little bit about storytelling and how to write a story.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so if this is the year that you're writing your book, but you're not sure of an idea, or you've got a vague idea, you're not sure it's a good one, I have a new mini course out for that.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you can get the Big Book Idea Generator from moxiebooks.co.uk/big-book-idea-generator. Because I'm really good at URLs.
Really good.
And the link is in the show notes. So if you want the link, then go find it. It's also at the bottom of all of my daily emails. So if you get my daily emails, then the link is down there as well. I also have a new audiobook out.
Ooh.
I know, right? I kind of forgot about it in the whole turning everything off over Christmas period.
Audiobook?
It was released on January the 1st.
Nice.
It's called That's What She Said. I've already had some really good feedback from people.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's already got reviews on Audible.
Whee!
5-star reviews on Audible.
Nice.
I was just like, I don't want to read them, but then it's like, oh, they're really good, apart from a PDF being missing, but I'm sorting that out. But if you would like to get hold of my new audiobook, you can go to audible.co.uk and type in That's What She Said, and it will pop up. I keep getting emails from Audible advising me to buy my new audiobook, which is quite exciting. And I did not do this on my own, by the way. I interviewed a whole plethora of amazing businesswomen who helped me out, and you all know who you are. Thank you so much. And all of the proceeds, all of the royalties from this audiobook are all going to charity, which I am sorting out this month. I'm going to sort out which charity it's going to. It's going to be a women's charity. Yeah, if you've listened to every episode, email me with your postal address and I will send you a silly gift. If you like this podcast, please go and review it.
5
Rate
stars.
it. Yeah, 5 stars.
5 stars.
Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from, please. Or if you know someone who will enjoy it, send them a link. moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast.
Nice.
And with that, we'll be back next week.
We're done.
Thanks very much.
No worries.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.